Hello everyone, my name is Dec. I am in recovery from substance abuse, and in this video I'm going to talk about something that is quite a taboo subject, but predominantly rife within the gay community, and that's chemsex. So chemsex, for those of you that don't know, is basically sex on drugs. Um, I say it's predominantly rife within the gay community because that's the experience that I've had firsthand with. However, technically, if you are using substances to enhance any experience sexually, whether you're straight, gay, bi, part of the LGBTQIA establishment, or whatever you identify as, then technically you are involved with chemsex. So my first introduction to chemsex was back in 2014 when I was 24 years old. Like most gay guys, I downloaded the yellow pages of the gay, which is Grindr, and found myself talking to a couple of local guys who were in a couple. They made it clear that they were kind of taking drugs and exploring that scene, etc. And yeah, kind of persuaded me, not in any bad way. There was no grooming involved or anything like that. But and I was old enough. I was 24, but persuaded me to meet them and kind of see what happened. And yeah, I met up with them at theirs, and I started using MCAT. I'd already been taking cocaine for years up until that point, anyway. So I was already used to I was already used to substances and what I could do and how I could lower your inhibitions. However, I was never involved in the whole chemsex scene prior to that moment. But yeah, so that's how I fell into that scene. I then dabbled with it on and off for a few years, and met some regular people that I would meet up and stuff, and the absolutely mind-blowing thing is that sober me, I guess there is a shame there. Sober me is like, oh my god, like the amount of situations I've been involved with and the amount of stuff that I've witnessed, you know, I could probably put Pornhub to shame. But I'm seeing the humor in it because it was a very eye-opening experience. We're talking, threesomes, foursomes, moresomes, group stuff, like. But yeah, I dabbled with it kind of in and out for a few years, mainly using MCAT with regular people. And then when I think it was around lockdown in 2020, I then met somebody and was then introduced to crystal meth. So crystal meth is predominantly used in the gay community in chemsex scenarios. And along with crystal meth, people use G, which is GBL, is the liquid form. You then shot it like a drink, and it then turns into GHB in your body. GHB is also commonly known as a date rape drug, a bit like Rohypnol. But people are they're also using things like MCAT, ketamine, and stuff like that. I only ever smoked crystal meth. I did G once, so GHB once. Didn't like the effects of it because it made me feel drunk, and I don't like feeling drunk. And also, I have never been in a situation where I've been completely unaware of my surroundings. I've always maintained a level of awareness, which I think is crucial when you operate in that environment because a lot of dodgy stuff happens. So going back to 2020, I was sniffing cocaine very regularly, and I met up with this guy off of Grindr, and he introduced me to crystal meth, and I thought, oh fuck it, I'll just have a toke on a bong, and I could take it or leave it, and I really could take it or leave it, and even up until I entered recovery at the beginning of this year, it wasn't my drug of choice. But what happened for me was that the association of then using cocaine to then smoking crystal meth to then having these chemsex sessions yeah, and it became a habitual, it became really habitual, and it was almost like a vicious cycle that I couldn't get myself out of. I was never a victim of anything personally in terms of grooming or sexual assault or anything like that. However, I did witness some really underhanded behaviour, and you best know that I absolutely held those people accountable in the very moment that of the people that were doing said behaviour, and I made it quite clear my position. And I think because I have a voice, and because I am quite a strong personality, and because I have that level of awareness, I felt like I had to protect the people that I was with who were vulnerable, who were, you know, in those situations because they'd either been pressured into them, etc., etc. So for the last couple of years operating in that chemsex scene, I was almost like the chemsex therapist. I would I'd get so overwhelmed having ADHD as well, and smoking crystal meth, which is a very potent amphetamine. I would overwhelm my nervous system, and I just wouldn't want to be sat in a room full of 12 men, where loads of stuff is happening. So I'd often go downstairs into a kitchen on my own and just be with myself. And people will come down and check on me, be like, "You're all right, you're all right." And I'm like, "Yeah, are you?" And then just by, asking open-ended questions, I'd really get under the skin of why they were there, etc. And we were kind of like coaching and being each other's therapist in that moment, if that makes sense. But in terms of my involvement with the scene, I mean, I was heavily involved in the chemsex scene, to the point where I knew every single dealer in Bristol. I knew the suppliers. In other areas. I was very well known on that scene. I was almost known as like Dex the party boy, and that became my identity. I think that's one of the points I want to make in this video, is that it very quickly become your identity because you don't know who the fuck you are, or you get stuck in that habitual cycle and you think, "Oh, this is my life now." But for the last few years, I was, trying to kind of figure out what I want and, who I want to surround myself with. And I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do that stuff. I didn't want to, be involved with all of that stuff. And it was getting dangerous towards the end. It was not for my safety or for anybody else's safety, but it was like something is going to happen, whether it's involvement with the law or anything like that, and I don't want to be involved with that. And it's so easy for the young guys now. The young, Grinder is a very toxic place. You know, and gay guys and bi guys, I'm speaking directly to you now. You've been on Grinder, you've seen profiles that say H and H. H and H means high and horny, for those of you that don't know. So I put it on my profile, take full accountability. When I've been in those sessions, I've been off my face. I've been like, H and H, you want to join? etc., etc. And it was never enough. The present moment of that situation was never enough. You're always looking for more. You're always looking for another person, a better situation, a better environment, and that's how it gets you. Add ADHD into the mix, and it's just this constant cycle of wanting more and more and more. So the moral of the story is, don't get involved in that scene. And I know there are so many societal pressures within the gay community itself, because gay men they base their identities on external factors such as their position, whether you're a top, bottom, or reverse, what you look like physically, what career you have, how much money's in your bank, the latest car that you're driving, if you've got a mortgage or not. All of those are vanity things. They're all, things that we strive for as a community, and as individuals within the gay community, that if we don't have them or we don't strive to those things, then we think we're a failure. We haven't lived up to another person's expectation, and that's the whole point. You're living up to another person's expectation about how you should operate. So try your very best. If you find yourself in those situations, there is always a way out. I've got some chemsex stuff on my website, jointherecovery.co.uk. Feel free to go and take a look. But there are things out there for you to get involved with if you feel that your chemsex usage is becoming a bit too heavy. But yeah, that's chemsex. And if anybody wants me to clarify anything or another video on this, then I'm more than willing to do so. Take it steady, guys, and I'll see you very soon.